or in this case, the current is on our back. The 40th anniversary of the United Nations Convention on Law of the Sea has reiterated our shared responsibility for the ocean. Recent efforts, such as the landmark agreement on ending plastic pollution and the new World Trade Organization deal on fisheries subsidies, give cause for hope. And there is optimism towards an international legally binding instrument on the conservation and sustainable use of marine biological diversity of areas beyond national jurisdiction. Solid partnerships across all stakeholders are being established and strengthened, as I witnessed in Palau earlier this year at the Our Ocean Conference. We have a strong foundation to build upon. Here in Portugal, the Ocean Conference can set the tone for what needs to be done. We can help to identify and define key areas of science-driven ocean action and to outline policies to be implemented by governments to deliver on change. We can highlight the contributions of female scientists to the study and protection of the ocean and commit to bring a stronger gender perspective to our work. I met yesterday with a group of women leading on this field, and I was impressed and inspired by their work. Women scientists represent, on an average, 38% of researchers in ocean science. While this is 10% higher than science in general, still it is not enough. We can also harness the energy, the passion, and the commitment of young people in our work. We need your ideas and your creativity now more than ever. The Ocean Conference can also strengthen the links between our efforts here and those on climate change, biodiversity, land degradation, and drought. What is happening in each of these areas has a direct impact on the ocean and vice versa. The excessive growth of sargassum, which I had opportunity to see firsthand during my recent visit to Dominican Republic, is such an example. Global warming, rising water temperatures, and pollutants favor the excessive growth of sargassum, and this is in turn affecting marine ecosystems, flood beaches, and threatens the economic recovery of countries that rely heavily on tourism. This complex problem, as well as the many other challenges faced by the oceans, call for the holistic approach on that note. And I commend the organizers for their choice of the theme and the focus on science and innovation. Human ingenuity has delivered us wonders and remarkable advances. We must lean into this. There is a future where sustainable ocean tourism drives economies and yet does not harm, where renewable energies, including ocean-based systems, reduce carbon emission and protect vital ecosystems, where circular economies thrive and our production and consumption does not degrade the world around us. We know that science and ingenuity can deliver. As I heard yesterday from women scientists, to ensure we come together to protect the ocean, we should all leave this conference standing with one hand up and the other hand down. One hand up to reach for success, pulling ourselves up and improving in every action we take. The other hand down to pull up others along with us. Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, let us not fall prey to short-sightedness or lack of ambition. Let us invest in, trust in, and act upon science. Let us protect the ocean. Let us leverage its power, relish its beauty, cherish its diversity, and ensure its health and longevity. Let us save the ocean. Let us save humanity. Let us save the planet. I thank you.
I thank the President of the General Assembly for his statement, and I now invite His Excellency Colin Vixe Kalepela, President of the Economic and Social Council, to make his statement.
Excellencies, Presidents of Kenya and Poland, the co-presidents of the conference, President of the United Nations General Assembly, Abdullah Shahid, Secretary General of the United Nations, Antonio Guterres, Excellencies, Heads of State and Government, Honorable Ministers, distinguished delegates, ladies and gentlemen. It is a distinct honor for me to participate and deliver some opening remarks at this very historic 2022 United Nations Ocean Conference. At the outset, I commend the governments of Portugal and Kenya for co-hosting this important and timely conference, and the Mayor of Lisbon for welcoming us in this very beautiful coastal marine city. I applaud the co-presidents for ably organizing this conference, and I wish them a successful outcome with tangible, actionable commitments and targets that should perfectly also reinforce the mandate of the United Nations Economic and Social Council, ECOSOC. Excellencies, ECOSOC plays a significant role in monitoring and reviewing implementation of the 2030 Agenda for Sustainable Development and in promoting the three dimensions of sustainable development: the economic, social, and environmental. In other words, the Council is the home of all the SDGs. This 2022 United Nations Ocean Conference offers a perfect opportunity to take stock of the implementation of SDG 14 on life below water, dealing with conservation and sustainable use of oceans, seas, and marine resources for sustainable development. This is a critical moment to decisively address the combined impacts of the triple planetary crises of our time: climate change, biodiversity loss, and pollution, which have been aggravated by the COVID-19 pandemic. It is urgently imperative that we exert more effort to conserve and sustainably use the oceans, seas, and marine resources for sustainable development. Healthy and well-managed oceans, seas, and marine resources are fundamental to saving our planet and supporting our livelihoods and prosperity for all, as well as the survival of all other species. Our well-being is inextricably linked to the health and sustainable productivity of our oceans, as more than 3 billion people, as alluded by the co-president Uhuru Kenyatta, rely on oceans for their livelihoods. The world's oceans contribute to poverty eradication, sustained economic growth, global trade, and food security. Notwithstanding these benefits, inconsiderate human activities are increasingly undermining the health and productivity of the oceans and our environment, and thus escalating the climate crisis. As highlighted in the recently released report of the Secretary General on progress towards the Sustainable Development Goals, the world's oceans and seas continue to rapidly deteriorate due to increasing acidification, eutrophication, and plastic waste, endangering the planet's largest ecosystem and billions of livelihoods, with small-scale fisher communities the hardest hit. Our own activities in response to the COVID-19 pandemic have also worsened the health of the oceans, with plastic waste having steadily infested the world's oceans as a result of increase in single-use plastic, primarily from medical waste. Excellencies, against this backdrop, I am pleased that we are gathered here today to reflect on ways we can join hands and strengthen conservation and sustainable use of oceans. I am optimistic that inclusive discussions of this nature, involving world leaders and policymakers, scholars, experts, scientists, activists, youth and civil society, and other stakeholders, can contribute to safeguarding oceans' health and chart a new path for their conservation and sustainable use. Above all, the outcomes of this conference will assist in sharing experiences and useful ideas to mobilize oceans action, generate new and much more ambitious commitments, strengthen and forge new partnerships that promote science-based innovative solutions. Your Excellencies, the High-Level Political Forum on Sustainable Development, the HLPF, that I will convene soon after this conference from the 5th to the 15th of July in New York under the auspices of ECOSOC, will undertake an in-depth review of, among others, SDG number 14. This will be the second time that this goal is being reviewed in depth after its initial review in 2017 when the first UN conference, Ocean Conference, was held. This conference is therefore very important and timely because it will provide essential inputs to this year's HLPF. The High-Level Political Forum will focus in particular on the interlinkages and synergies between SDG 14 and other goals. As you would be aware, this year's ECOSOC and HLPF theme is Building Back Better from Coronavirus Disease or COVID-19, while advancing the full implementation of the 2030 Agenda for Sustainable Development. The review of SDG 14 is also significant given the devastating impact the COVID-19 pandemic has had on oceans-based economies, fisheries, aquaculture, and tourism. The implementation of SDG 14 depends on reimagining the human relationship with the oceans. This, in turn, depends on building oceans awareness through mobilizing public concern, including by fostering ocean literacy and local action. I believe that a more universal concern for oceans' health and the common benefits that can be derived from healthy and productive oceans may also assist to address the existing funding gap for ocean action. I hope that the deliberations at this conference will reinvigorate commitments, partnerships, and action towards SDG 14 and strengthen science policy interface to support sustainable oceans management. In addition, several VNR countries, Your Excellencies, the voluntary national reviews, the VNRs that are presented at the HLPF are an important mechanism for sharing knowledge and peer learning in the implementation of the SDGs. I am encouraged that recent VNRs highlighted the importance of conserving marine ecosystem and biodiversity. I am gratified that this year 44 countries have emphasized the commitment to reducing plastic waste and marine litter in addressing the problem of microplastic. In addition, several VNR countries have noted the need to strengthen institutional capacity in the area of marine science and the blue economy, and the need to protect fisheries resources. As President of ECOSOC, I will continue in the remainder of my tenure to ensure that the Council remains a useful forum and be used for more sustainable future and development. Let me close, co-presidents, by reassuring that the Council remains at your disposal to serve as an inclusive platform in addressing the myriad of challenges we face today and in the future. And I thank you very much for your kind attention.
I thank the President of the Economic and Social Council for his statement, and I now invite Mr. Liu Zhenmin, Secretary General of the Conference and the Undersecretary General for Economic and Social Affairs, to make a statement.
Your Excellency, Mr. President of the Portuguese Republic, Your Excellency, Mr. President of the Republic of Kenya, Mr. Secretary General of the United Nations, distinguished heads of state and government, honorable ministers, excellencies, distinguished delegates, distinguished guests, and all stakeholders, ladies and gentlemen. As the Secretary General of the 2022 UN Ocean Conference, I would like to take this opportunity to express my sincere appreciation to the co-hosts of this conference, governments of Portugal and Kenya. They have worked tirelessly and under very difficult circumstances over the past 3 years to make this important conference a reality. I would like to thank the Secretary General Guterres for his inspiring words just delivered at this opening of the conference. It is my hope that we can act on his call to accelerate actions and build new partnerships for ocean health so that together we can learn from each other and promote solutions anchored in science and innovation for a sustainable ocean, as envisaged by the theme of this conference, Scaling Up Ocean Action, based on science and innovation for the implementation of the Goal 14, stock-taking, partnerships, and solutions. I would also like to thank the President of the UN General Assembly and the ECOSOC President for their guidance and support for the preparation of this conference. I would also like to congratulate all delegations for coming to agreement on a concise, action-oriented outcome document for formal adoption at the closing of this conference. I would especially like to thank Her Excellency Ambassador Keisha McCurry, Permanent Representative for Grenada to the United Nations, and His Excellency Ambassador Martin Herman, Permanent Representative for Denmark to the United Nations, for their able stewardship of this important milestone document entitled Our Ocean, Our Future, Our Responsibility. I'm particularly happy to see the focus on science and innovation, the recognition and acknowledgement of the ocean climate biodiversity nexus, and the call for empowerment and full and equal and meaningful participation of women and girls in progressing towards achieving Goal 14. Distinguished delegates, not only are we falling behind in our quest to achieve Goal 14, but we are also still suffering from an uncertainty and the after effects of the global COVID-19 pandemic. We should be confident that while every crisis, the path to recovery provides opportunity. We must take opportunity offered by the COVID-19 recovery to put in place the actions and policies needed for a more sustainable ocean, to build more equitable blue economies that promote the well-being of all people in long term. Therefore, I urge all your delegations to make your commitments and pledges to enrich the registry of voluntary commitments that is managed by UNDESA, the United Nations Department of Economic and Social Affairs. These commitments are key to stemming the declining health of the ocean. Every step accounts. Every commitment, however small, matters. We must also take this opportunity to direct support towards marine scientific research, ocean observation and monitoring, including research and monitoring relating to social sciences. Marine scientific research will help us better understand how the ocean supports our lives and livelihoods, and how it might better inform our policies. We must ensure that all countries can benefit from scientific and technological innovations as they rebuild their economies. Ladies and gentlemen, during this conference, we will host 9 plenary meetings and 8 interactive dialogues to address priority topics around SDG 14 targets. The plenary meetings will be devoted to statements by world leaders, ministers, heads of delegations, and major stakeholders. The interactive dialogues are designed to be collaborative and multi-stakeholder in nature. They will focus on recommendations to support the implementation of Goal 14, including through strengthened cooperation, building on existing successful partnerships, and stimulating innovative and concrete new ones, taking into account the theme of this conference. Distinguished delegates, we hope that you will come to Lisbon with your vision and commitment, and you will leave in Lisbon having made many new friends, widened your knowledge, and formed innovative ideas for new partnerships that can help all of us accelerate progress towards Goal 14. May this conference inspire and re-energize your efforts to protect the health of our ocean for us and for our future generations. Distinguished delegates, before closing, I would like to extend my sincere gratitude to the government and people of Portugal for the warm hospitality extended to all our participants. I would also like to thank all my UN colleagues for their dedication in preparation and support of this conference. I wish this Ocean Conference a great success. I thank you.
I thank the Secretary General of the Conference for his statement. We have now heard the last speaker for the opening segment of this conference, and I now invite the conference to consider item number 3 of the provisional agenda, entitled Adoption of the Rules of Procedure. The conference has before it a note by the Secretariat issued as document A, stroke CONF.2030 stroke 2022 stroke 2, containing the provisional rules of procedure of the conference. May I take it that the conference agrees to adopt the rules of procedure contained in the document A stroke CONF.230 stroke 2022 stroke 2. I hear no objection. It is so decided. The conference has thus concluded its consideration of the agenda item number 3. I now invite the conference to consider item number 4 of the provisional agenda, entitled Adoption of the Agenda of the Conference. Again, I would like to draw the attention of delegations to document A stroke conference 230 stroke 2022 stroke 1, which contains the provisional agenda for the conference. May I take it that the conference wishes to adopt the agenda as contained in document A stroke CONF.230 stroke 2022 stroke 1. I hear no objection. It is so decided. I now invite the conference to consider item number 5 of the agenda entitled Election of Officers Other than the President's. Under Rule 6 of the Rules of Procedure, the conference shall elect from among representatives of participating states and on the basis of ensuring the representative character of the General Committee, 13 vice presidents, one of whom shall be designated as the Rapporteur General. With regard to the election of the vice presidents, I have been informed that there is general agreement among delegations to elect the following countries. From among the African states, Angola and Mozambique. From among the Asian Pacific states, the Islamic Republic of Iran, Singapore, and Sri Lanka. From among the Eastern European states, Estonia, Latvia, and Poland. From among the Latin American and Caribbean states, Chile, Dominican Republic, and Peru. And from among the Eastern European and other states, Iceland and Malta. May I take it that the conference wishes to elect Angola, Chile, the Dominican Republic, Estonia, Iceland, the Islamic Republic of Iran, Latvia, Malta, Mozambique, Peru, Poland, Singapore, and Sri Lanka as vice presidents by acclamation. It is so decided. On behalf of the conference, I congratulate the vice presidents on their election. Also under this item, and in a letter dated 24th June 2022, from the permanent representative of Kenya and Sweden to the United Nations in New York, addressed to the President of the General Assembly, that was circulated to all permanent representatives and permanent observers to the United Nations in New York, the Presidents would like to propose that the conference elect 2 ex officio vice presidents from Kenya and Portugal. May I take it that the conference wishes to elect Kenya and Portugal as ex officio vice presidents? It is so decided. I now invite the conference to proceed with the designation of the Rapporteur General of the conference. I have been informed that there is general agreement to designate Her Excellency Maria de Jesus de Reis Ferreira, Permanent Representative of Angola to the United Nations in New York, as Rapporteur General of the conference. May I take it that the conference wishes to proceed accordingly? I hear no objection. It is so decided. On behalf of the conference, I congratulate Her Excellency Maria de Jesus Jerez Ferreira on her designation as Rapporteur General of the conference, and I invite her to take her seat at the podium. Thank you. The conference has thus concluded its consideration of agenda item number 5. I now invite the conference to consider agenda item 6, entitled Organization of Work, including the establishment of subsidiary organs and other organizational matters. The conference has before it a note by the Secretariat entitled Organizational and Procedural Matters, contained in document A/CONF.230/2022/3. May I take it that the conference wishes to approve the organization of work set out in document A/conference.230/2022/3? I hear no objection. It is so decided. In relation to the 8 interactive dialogues, I would like to inform the conference that in accordance with the mandate provided to us by the General Assembly Resolution 73/292, the Presidents have appointed the following co-chairs. His Excellency David Parker, Minister of Environment and Minister of Oceans and Fisheries of New Zealand, and Her Excellency Flavian Joubert, Minister of Environment, Energy and Climate Change of the Seychelles, as co-chairs of the Interactive Dialogue on Addressing Marine Pollution. His Excellency Abrao Vincent, Minister of the Sea of Capo Verde, and His Excellency Espen Barth Eid, Minister of Climate and Environment of Norway, and as co-chairs of the Interactive Dialogue on Promoting and Strengthening Sustainable Ocean-Based Economies, in particular for small island developing states and least developed countries. Her Excellency Tanya Pilsberg, Minister of Environment and Water of Australia, and Her Excellency Xiamen Fuertes, Vice President of Foreign Affairs of Chile, as co-chairs of the Interactive Dialogue on Managing, Protecting, Conserving, and Restoring Marine and Coastal Ecosystems. His Excellency John Kerry, Special Envoy for Climate Change of the United States, and His Excellency Matthew Samuda, Minister without portfolio in the Ministry of Economic Growth and Job Creation of Jamaica, as co-chairs of the Interactive Dialogue on Ocean Acidification, Deoxygenation, and Ocean Warming. Her Excellency Joyce Murray, Minister of Fisheries, Oceans, and the Canadian Coast Guard of Canada, and His Excellency Derek Clazen, Minister of Fisheries and Marine Resources of Namibia, as co-chairs of the Interactive Dialogue on Making Fisheries Sustainable and Providing Access for Small-Scale Artisanal Fishers to Marine Resources and Markets. Her Excellency Amelia de Montchamp, Minister of Ecological Transition and Territorial Cohesion of France, His Excellency Franz Tachebach, Minister of Environment and Energy of Costa Rica, as co-chairs of the interactive dialogue of increasing scientific knowledge and developing research capacity and transfer of marine technology, Her Excellency Gulu Sursur Desan, Minister of Environment, Energy and Climate of Iceland, His Excellency Vivian Balakrishnan, Minister of Foreign Affairs of Singapore, as co-chairs of the Interactive Dialogue on Enhancing the Conservation and Sustainable Use of Oceans and their Resources by implementing international law as reflected in the United Nations Convention on the Law of the Sea. And His Excellency Brislav Sandov, Deputy Prime Minister for Climate Policies and Minister of Environment and Water of Bulgaria, and His Excellency Molwin Joseph, Minister of Health, Wellness and Environment of Antigua and Barbuda, as co-chairs of the Interactive Dialogue on leveraging interlinkages between Sustainable Development, Goal number 14, and other goals towards the implementation of the 2030 Agenda. I would like to express appreciation to the co-chairs for assuming this important role, and by so doing, this conference has concluded this stage of consideration of agenda item number 6. I now invite the conference to consider sub-item A of agenda 7, entitled Appointment of the Members of the Credentials Committee. Rule 4 of the Rules of Procedure provides for a Credentials Committee of 9 members shall be appointed at the beginning of the conference, and its composition shall be based on that of the Credentials Committee of the General Assembly at its 74th session. The following states were members of the Credentials Committee of the 74th session of the General Assembly, and they are Barbados, Botswana, China, Mauritius, Nepal, Russian Federation, San Marino, the United States of America, and Uruguay. I have been informed by the Secretariat that San Marino has indicated that it would not be able to participate in the conference and would accordingly not be available to serve on the Credentials Committee. Therefore, in accordance with the past practice of the Conference of the United Nations, Sweden, from Western Europe and other states, has been nominated to replace San Marino as a member of the Credentials Committee. May I therefore take it that the conference wishes to appoint Barbados, Botswana, China, Mauritius, Nepal, Russian Federation, Sweden, United States of America, and Uruguay as members of the Credential Committee of the conference. I hear no objection. It is so decided. Delegates are reminded that in accordance with the rules of procedure of the conference, credentials issued by the head of state or government or by the Minister of Foreign Affairs, or in the case of the European Union, by the President of the European Council or the President of the European Commission, should be submitted to the Office of Legal Affairs, located in the Fernando Pesa Hall of the conference venue, if they have not already been submitted. The conference has thus concluded its consideration of sub-item A of agenda item number 7. Distinguished heads of state and government, ministers, excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, the conference shall now commence its general debate under agenda item number 8, and in accordance with the organization of work of the conference contained in document A/conference 230/2022/3, statements in the general debate shall not exceed 5 minutes. Speakers with longer statements are encouraged to read a shorter version of their text and to submit the full length of their statement to e-statements-oceans@un.org for posting on the Journal of the United Nations. To assist speakers in managing their time, a timer is being projected on the screen. I now have the honor to invite His Excellency João Manuel Gonçalves Lourenço, President of the Republic of Angola, to address the conference on behalf of the community of Portuguese language countries.
Excelência Marcelo.
Your Excellency Marcelo Rebelo de Sousa, President of the Portuguese Republic, Your Excellency Uhuru Muiga Kenyatta, President of the Republic of Kenya, Your Excellency Antonio Guterres, Secretary General of the United Nations, Your Excellencies, Presidents, Heads of State and Government, Your Excellency Abdullah Shahid, President of the United Nations General Assembly, Your Excellency Colin Vixen Kelapile, President of the United Nations Economic and Social Council, Honourable Heads of Delegation and International Partners, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen. It is with great pleasure that I participate in the second United Nations Conference on the Oceans, during which we will have ample opportunity to address all aspects connected with this topic and seek to understand how things have progressed since the previous event and what future actions are collectively required in order for us to take care of this common good. This is yet another opportunity to review all we have done to ensure that we meet the goals laid down by the United Nations with a view to reducing marine pollution, protecting marine and coastal ecosystems, decreasing ocean acidification, and
E da pesca ilegal. Excelências, minhas senhoras, meus senhores, os oceanos são não só uma importante fonte de riquezas para as economias dos países por eles banhados, como desempenharam sempre um importante papel na mobilidade dos povos, na interação e integração das diferentes culturas, religiões, hábitos e costumes dos povos e nas trocas comerciais entre as nações. Chefes de Estado e de Governo, representantes da comunidade científica, o setor privado e a sociedade civil procurarão, nesta Cimeira de Lisboa, encontrar respostas para a crescente necessidade de implementarmos novos paradigmas de exploração sustentável dos imensos recursos que os oceanos colocam à nossa disposição, os quais temos que procurar explorar de forma cada vez mais sustentável e preservar para gerações vindouras. Os oceanos constituem a maior biosfera do planeta e a eles estão associados um conjunto de benefícios para a humanidade, os quais devemos salvaguardar para que as gerações do futuro tenham uma qualidade de vida melhor. O triste cenário que hoje constatamos impele-nos a agir com a máxima urgência por forma a encontrarmos soluções que invertam a atual tendência de poluição dos mares e oceanos e de exploração desregrada de recursos marinhos. Excelências, minhas senhoras, meus senhores, no momento em que o meu país se está a preparar para realizar eleições gerais nas próximas semanas, decidi, apesar disso, vir a Lisboa para me associar à reflexão conjunta que aqui faremos sobre os oceanos, assunto de capital importância para a sobrevivência da humanidade. O governo angolano integrou no seu Plano de Desenvolvimento Nacional o ordenamento das atividades que ocorrem no mar, de modo a potenciar a economia azul através do reforço da fiscalização e regulação da exploração dos recursos marinhos. Excelências, senhoras e senhores, a República de Angola mantém uma relação com o Oceano Atlântico que nos obriga a cada momento a desenvolver iniciativas e a procurar soluções que concorram para a sua utilização em moldes que o protejam e sirvam os interesses de todos os países que lhe são ribeirinhos. É em função desta perspectiva que temos vindo a desenvolver ações no sentido de alargar os limites da nossa zona econômica exclusiva, para o que temos procurado dar os passos necessários junto da Comissão Competente das Nações Unidas, com vista a consagrarmos legalmente este objetivo, na base do qual poderemos passar a utilizar e proteger os recursos que se encontram em zonas próximas da nossa costa e que têm vindo a ser objeto de dilapidação por parte de frotas pesqueiras estrangeiras não licenciadas. Excelências, minhas senhoras, meus senhores, não é hoje possível falarmos da necessidade da preservação e melhor exploração dos recursos marinhos sem falarmos também na necessidade da proteção do ambiente no geral, cuja degradação se reflete negativamente nos mares e oceanos. O aquecimento global é responsável pelo degelo da calote glaciar, que vem aumentando assustadoramente o nível das águas do mar, colocando em perigo cidades e outros assentamentos populacionais do litoral à escala universal. Este mesmo aquecimento global, que aumenta a temperatura média das águas dos oceanos, também é responsável pelo aumento expressivo do número de ciclones, furacões e tsunamis no Atlântico, no Índico e no Pacífico, e que, sendo cada vez mais frequentes e devastadores, têm causado um elevado número de vidas humanas e danos materiais consideráveis em praticamente todos os continentes. É nossa responsabilidade tomarmos todas as medidas com vista a reduzir cada vez mais a emissão de gases com efeito de estufa para proteger a camada de ozono e, consequentemente, o planeta. Angola vem dando, nos últimos anos, passos significativos no sentido de reduzir a queima de combustíveis fósseis para a produção de energia elétrica. Privilegiamos a produção e transportação de energia de fontes hídricas para todo o país e apostamos em ambiciosos projetos de produção de energia fotovoltaica no centro, sul e leste do país, cujos primeiros parques serão inaugurados e sua energia injetada na rede nacional já neste mês de julho que se avizinha. Com a assinatura há dias de um importante contrato com uma empresa alemã, começamos a dar os primeiros passos na produção de hidrogênio verde para exportação já a partir de 2024. Temos feito em Angola um grande esforço de qualificação de quadros capazes de ajudar o país a atender com eficácia e eficiência requeríveis os assuntos relacionados com as principais preocupações à volta dos oceanos e, neste sentido, temos realizado um exercício importante em parceria com o programa Rise África da União Europeia, com vista a abordar a questão do agravamento da poluição marinha, sobretudo a proveniente dos resíduos sólidos urbanos, dos quais o plástico constitui o maior problema. Estamos a prestar uma atenção especial às zonas úmidas, que fazem parte do ecossistema marinho e costeiro, priorizando neste âmbito a proteção e a conservação destas áreas através de ações de reflorestação e conservação de mangais, com destaque para a campanha de plantação em 8 meses de 1 milhão de mangais em toda a orla costeira angolana, realizada com a participação ativa da sociedade civil angolana, principalmente de jovens que se dedicam a causas ambientais. Excelências, minhas senhoras, meus senhores, estamos convencidos que não conseguiremos realizar os objetivos relacionados com a proteção do ecossistema marinho se não assumirmos com coragem a necessidade de se reforçar a capacidade de defesa e segurança marítima, fortemente ameaçadas por grupos de modernos piratas do mar que desenvolvem a sua atividade terrorista nas principais rotas marítimas, ameaçando seriamente o comércio internacional e a segurança nos oceanos. Neste capítulo, destaco muito em particular os problemas que se registram no Golfo da Guiné, no Corno de África e em outras zonas do planeta, onde a pirataria ameaça seriamente a utilização dos mares para fins pacíficos, como as trocas comerciais, o turismo e outras atividades conexas que impulsionam as economias. Considero importante a necessidade de se alargar a cooperação internacional com os países destas regiões, de modo a dotá-los de capacidade para fazerem face a esta ameaça global. Torna-se cada vez mais evidente a importância dos oceanos para o fluxo regular de mercadorias, o seu impacto no comércio mundial e na estabilização dos preços de bens essenciais e das matérias-primas, assim como no funcionamento normal da economia global. Perante esta constatação, sobressai necessariamente a importância fulcral e a necessidade incontornável da utilização pacífica dos oceanos como garante da sobrevivência em condições humanamente dignas das populações de todo o nosso planeta. Os oceanos, os mares e as infraestruturas terrestres a eles ligados, como os portos comerciais, são de tal ordem importantes para as economias e para o bem-estar dos cidadãos do mundo inteiro, que o bloqueio dos portos ucranianos do Mar Negro está a causar a crise alimentar global que vivemos atualmente, pela escassez de cereais, de fertilizantes e de oleaginosas para a produção de óleo alimentar. A esse respeito, importa que a União Europeia, as Nações Unidas e, de uma forma geral, toda a comunidade internacional priorize e concentre os seus principais esforços na busca de um cessar-fogo imediato e incondicional, seguido de negociações com as partes consideradas importantes para se alcançar e construir uma paz que seja verdadeiramente duradoura para a Europa e o resto do mundo. No momento em que não se conseguiu ainda superar a tensão reinante no Sudeste Asiático, na Península Coreana, nem no Golfo Pérsico, qualquer uma delas com o potencial de evoluir para uma confrontação nuclear, o mundo já não suporta o eclodir e manutenção de um novo conflito em pleno coração da Europa, pelas consequências que tem para a economia global, mas sobretudo para a paz e segurança mundial. Excelências, minhas senhoras, meus senhores, não poderia deixar de referir o grande esforço de cooperação que os Estados-membros da CPLP vêm realizando para assumir um protagonismo empenhado e interessado no debate sobre as questões relacionadas com os oceanos, se tivermos em conta o facto de sermos todos países costeiros e insulares. Destaco em todo este contexto algumas iniciativas bastante louváveis que foram sendo levadas a cabo, como os Blue Talks, que se constituíram numa plataforma de debates bastante úteis, realizados durante as semanas que antecederam esta conferência. Uma grande evidência da relevância que a CPLP atribui à sua relação com os oceanos é a declaração do Namibe, aprovada na província angolana com o mesmo nome. Trata-se de um importante documento jurídico que foi amplamente discutido entre todos os Estados-membros e visa a criação de uma plataforma de cooperação na promoção da pesca sustentável e combate à pesca ilegal, não declarada e não regulamentada entre os Estados-membros da CPLP. Excelências, minhas senhoras, meus senhores, queria aproveitar a ocasião para agradecer à Sua Excelência Marcelo Rebelo de Sousa, Presidente da República Portuguesa, à Sua Excelência Uhuru Muiga Kenyatta, Presidente da República do Quênia, por esta importante iniciativa da realização desta conferência e pelas excelentes condições de trabalho e acomodação proporcionadas às delegações presentes. Igualmente agradeço às autoridades portuguesas e a este povo acolhedor pela hospitalidade que nos está sendo brindada. Muito obrigado a todos.
Agradeço ao Presidente da República. Eu iria agora convidar Sua Excelência, Presidente Marcelo.